So if you want to know how Wheezy makes crazy samples and beats for Young Thug and Gunna, this is the perfect video for you. Yo, what's up and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how Wheezy makes crazy samples and beats from scratch for Young Thug and Gunna. And y'all have already heard the beat and I think it's super hot and super bouncy. Y'all can let me know what y'all think in the comments. And it's actually a really simple sample and a really simple and spacey beat. So first of all, I'm going to show you how I made the sample, so break down every individual pattern. Then after that, I will show you how I mixed it and break down every single effect chain for every individual sound. Then after that, I will show you how I mastered the sample and how I processed the sample. And then for the last thing, I will show you how I made the beat and show every individual pattern as well. So y'all don't miss out on that. Please make sure to watch till the end. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out my stash 2023. It's $10 right now and will be $20 next week. So y'all make sure to get that right now to make your beat sound more interesting. I'd really appreciate any support. And if you bought the kit, DM me on Instagram with the receipt and I will send you 10 free samples as well. So it's a little bonus for y'all watching this video. And I don't want to keep the intro too long, so please make sure to subscribe, like and comment. And with that being said, yeah guys, let's go. So as you can see right here, I use Contact and I use the Session Pro key switch bank with the default Session preset. And as you can see, I didn't touch anything. It's just on the vibrato. And the one thing I did for the pattern was just laying down this simple chord right here. It's an C minor chord, then an A sharp major chord, and then a C minor chord again, which just makes this bounce. And then what I did was just copying it and pitching it up 12 semitones, just that it's more full. And then I just laid down these chords right here, which are pretty simple. Yeah, I can just copy them. It's just for like a little bit more tension, as you can see right there. And then I just copied it over, switch it up at the end of these 4 bars, and then just copied it over again for 8 bars. Then I just copied the root notes from the trumpet and pitched them down by 12, just for some like thicker bass notes. And then I randomized the velocities, which you can do with Alt and R. And the finished horns pattern is sounding like this. Then for the effects on this trumpet, I have this RC20 with the Vinyl 1 preset. All I really just did was having on the wobble and the EQ. Then for the next thing, I have this Valhalla vintage verb where I tweak the mix and the decay, so it's pretty simple as well. Then I have this soothe, which I had on a soft setting at the depth to 2.0. Then this simple EQ where I just cut out some of the lows and ducked some of the frequencies that weren't really necessary for the whole sample. And I had it 27% in stereo. Then for the next thing, I used Contact again and I used the Ivory Wind Bank and I had it on its default settings. It's a bank from Embertone. It's a pretty fire bank, and all I really just did was laying down this simple pattern again. It's just some notes going up to an G and then going down to an C. I basically just reversed this pattern right here, and then at the end I have this little switch up just to give the sample more variation, which is this G, F, D sharp, D, C, and then it goes up to an F, G sharp and G. And that's all I did for the flute, and the finished flute pattern is sounding like this. Then before I show y'all the effects, I will show y'all this music box bell, which is out of my Goldmine kit. And all I just did was playing with the envelope right here, just that it doesn't play through all the time. And then I laid down this pattern, so I basically copied the flute pattern, just that it has like more texture and it sounds better. I heard that on a few samples from friends, that they just basically did this like method, and it sounds so good, and it gives the flute way more texture and makes it sound way more interesting because people aren't used to it. And I will play both patterns together, but first I will show y'all the effects. And for the effects, I have this RC20 with the vinyl preset again. I just turned off everything besides the wobble and the EQ. Then this fresh air where I had the mid air to 19% and the high air to 32%. Then this simple Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix, the decay and the low cut. Then the soothe on its soft setting and the depth to 2.0. Then this EQ where I just cut out a lot of the lows and some of the low mids. And I added 27% in stereo as well. And both of these patterns together are sounding like this. Then for the next thing I used Contact again, and I used the Maverick Bank, which is just a simple piano which has a nice tone to it though. And all I did was laying down these 4 chords and then just copying it over. I randomized the velocities, and as you can see, it always just plays when the trumpets aren't playing. So it's basically just to make the sample a little bit more full and to give it like a little bit more variation. And then I just strummed it with Alt and S, as you can see right here. And the finished piano pattern is sounding like this. And for the effects on this piano, I had the same effects that I had on the flute and the bell, but I panned it 12% to the left just for some variation, and I had it 27% in stereo as well. Then for the next thing I have this noise from XY Nothing, and all I really just did was dragging it in, time stretching it, putting the declicker mode to generic and lowering the volume by a lot. I had the mode on stretch as well, but it's nothing special, it's just like a texture, which sounds like this. And that's all I did. I normalized it as well. And for the effects, I just had the simple 3D parametric EQ2 where I ducked some of the lows and some of the highs. Then this EQ where I cut them out. Then this soothe on its hard setting and the depth to 4.9. And this reverb on its default settings. I just played with the mix level, and the mix level is to 35%. Then after that, I added this My Soul phrase from one of Zero G's vocal packs. And I had the declicker mode to generic, the mode to stretch, I lowered the volume. And as you can see, I chopped it up just for this part right here, because I thought like there's something missing, and that was like the perfect filler for it. And the vocal is sounding like this. Then for the effects on these vocals, I have this Panman with these settings, then this Fruity Limiter with these settings, then this Fruity Parametric EQ2 where I cut out a lot of the lows and some of the highs, this Valhalla Vintage Verb where I had the mix to 94%, the decay to 1.52 and the pre-delay to 0, then this Fresh Air where I had the mid-air to 33%, this Fruity Chorus with these settings and the mix to 73%, then this Valhalla Vintage Verb again where I played with the mix, the decay, the low cut and the pre-delay, and then this limiter again, and I had it 81% in mono. And shout out to Who's Glendis because he sent me this effect chain, and it's so good for these type of vocals. Then for the next thing I have my favorite bass, which is the Experimenter X bass from Contact, and I just laid down this pattern. As you can see, it's just a root note from the trumpet pattern, and I didn't want to have like a long bass line because it gave the sample more bounce when I have like these short bass notes. And that's just a pattern, I laid down. I don't have to explain really much because it's just the root notes from the trumpet. I didn't even randomize the velocities, and the finished bass line is sounding like this. Then for effects on this bass line, I have the soothe on its hard setting and the knob to 9.1. Then this decapitator where I played with the drive, the tone and the style. Then this for the fast distortion with the default settings, but I had the mix to 35%. Then this EQ where I just cut out some of the muddy lows, and I added 100% in mono. Then for the effects on my mastering chain, which are really important, I have this Alex Hilton A1 stereo control where I have the stereo wide to 125% and I played with the safe bass option. Then this arc compressor which does nothing for this sample. This Abbey Road vinyl stereo with the vintage master preset, y'all can just copy them settings. This sound shifter pitch stereo from Waves where I pitch it up by 1 semitone. This chroma tape stereo with the mastering big and open preset. This L1 limiter from Waves just to make the sample louder. Then this simple soothe on its default settings, and this EQ which does nothing for this sample, it's just on there in case I want to EQ something. And then after I rendered the sample out, I put the declicker mode to generic, put the mode to stretch, and I pitch it up by 1 just because I liked how it sounded. And now I'll show y'all the sample with and without the mastering chain, and this is a sample without the mastering chain. And now this is the sample with the mastering chain. And now for the beat breakdown, the first thing I obviously did was dragging in the sample, and I put the mode to stretch, pitch it up by 1, put the trim knob to 100% and put the declicker mode to generic. Then for the first thing for the beat, I laid down this pretty simple hi-hat pattern, and as you can see, all I used were my drum sounds from my Stash 2023, which is available right now, and the link for that is in the description. And as I said, it's $10 in the first week and then $20, so yeah, make sure to grab that right now. And what I did was laying down this pretty simple and spacious hi-hat pattern, which as you can see and as I said has a lot of space just for the 808s to hit harder, and I can't really explain what I did. I was just laying down some notes, and first of all, the hi-hat pattern is sounding like this. Then for the next thing I used the second snare clap out of the stash kit again, and all I really did was going to claps, picking the second snare clap and then dragging in this clap 8 bars pattern, and then just pressing Alt and D just so that the notes are a little bit bigger, and the clap pattern is sounding like this. Then for the next thing I used the Jacob snare out of the stash kit, and I used the snare MIDI which is called 18. I just removed some notes just because the 808 was hitting when the snare was hitting and I didn't want the snare to hit then, and the finished snare pattern is sounding like this. And then after that I used the Chi open hat, and the pattern looks like this because I layered the 808 notes with the open hat just to give the 808 more punch or like more power, and that's literally all I did, and the open hat pattern is sounding like this. And then for the last thing and the most important thing, I have the Lucas Zay 808, and I laid down this pattern which looks complex and it is pretty full, but it's just that full because I left so much space in the hi-hat and the snare pattern, and I can't really explain what I did. I just laid down some 808 notes and listened if it sounded good, and that's all I did for this beat, and the finished beat with the 808 pattern and everything else is sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you all enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. It would really help me and it would really mean a lot. And please let me know if y'all want more of these type of videos in the comments, or if you want like a different type of video, and if you like the beat, I would really appreciate that. And if y'all haven't already, make sure to check out the Stash 2023. The link for that is in the description. And as I said, it's $10 in the first week and then $20 after that. So y'all make sure to cop it right now while it's $10. And thank y'all for all this crazy support on every individual platform. Y'all been really going crazy. And with that being said, yeah guys, see y'all.